Good morning. Going to cover a couple different news articles here on the Ground News app. Before I do, though, I wanted to bring up the face mask I had on. It's representative of missing and murdered Indigenous women. It's a big problem here in the United States as well as in Canada on a per capita basis. If you have the time, look into it. I'll be doing either a video or a blog post at some time in the near future dealing with that, as well as voting and other things that I feel need to be brought to our attention in regards to Indigenous communities. I'm not sponsored by Ground News app. I just happen to have a free code that it gives you a free month as well as me a free month, so I'm going to plug it, 010252. I really like the app. It allows me to find the news that I'm interested in a quick, accessible manner and also see bias. So you take that code and you put it into the settings, enter referral code, and you'll end up with your free month. I think it's 89 or 99 cents in order to pay for the regular. I don't have a lot of time to go into the app this morning because I'm actually at work. We have like the hurricane is coming up the eastern coast. I happen to live off of the eastern coast, so let me cover our articles. The first one I want to talk about is this one. Virus testing, contact tracing essential for schools to safely reopen, the studies find. Okay, this is out of Canada, but it doesn't make the data any less relevant. These are our children that we're speaking of. Effective contact tracing and virus testing are essential for the safe reopening of schools during the COVID-19 pandemic, according to two new studies. Okay, the studies published Monday in the Lancet Child and Adolescent Health Journal found that there are low levels of coronavirus transmission in schools when public health measures are in place. The first study used modeling data to analyze whether a second wave of infections could be avoided in the UK if safety measures are enhanced in schools as they're reopened. The second study analyzed real-world data from the first wave of COVID-19 infections in New South Wales, Australia, to understand virus transmission in schools and nurseries. Okay? So basically, what they're stating is a little bit more research needs to be done, but when we can consistently test as well as conduct proper contact tracing, then maybe we can have the conversation on if schools should be opening. Okay, these are the greatest gifts to us in the world that we are gambling with. We need to make sure that we are on top of it and have all of the information before we risk the lives of our future. We could literally wipe out parts of our legacy by jumping the gun. It helps if I actually go to the right section, isn't it? All right, the second one I want to talk about is Nevada governor signs bill to allow mail-in voting after Trump promises legal challenge. Nevada's governor signed a bill ensuring that every registered voter in the state would receive a mail-in ballot ahead of November's election, despite threats of legal action from President Trump. Governor Steve Sisolak, who's a Democrat, said the bill will ensure that we do all we can to allow Nevadans to safely cast a ballot in the upcoming November election. Okay? This bill will help prevent Nevadans from experiencing the long lines of polling locations they face during the primary election, which will protect their safety, safeguard their right to make their voices heard, and help and help reduce the spread of COVID-19, the governor tweeted. So we're constantly hearing out of certain quarters of our political realm that we want to make our elections fair. We want everybody to be able to vote and things. But to me, it's a psychological issue, okay? You cannot limit, not during a pandemic, you cannot limit the abilities for our citizens to participate in this democracy, and doing so causes me to question what your motives are. These are times that are unprecedented, at least in my lifetime and many of you, okay? So we need to stay on top of this kind of thing and question the narrative. Why aren't we pushing a nationwide mail ballot? I saw a release, a Trump, I guess it came in the mail to some of his supporters, trying to tell them to make sure that they register for mail-in ballots, okay, that they register for mail-in voting. You need to do the same thing if you're in an area that allows you to do so and you're not going to actually go to the polls. The lines at the polls are going to be something that we're not prepared for at this time. We don't know if they're going to be properly staffed. We don't know if the lines are going to be nuts. We just don't know. Okay, so whatever you can do in order to make it easier for you to be able to cast your vote. And if you have the ability to make any kind of change, put the word out, vote for it, whatever you have to do to get mail-in ballots a thing, and not just a thing in your community, but help the people that you know to fill out that information to get those ballots. I would really appreciate that. Our democracy would really appreciate that. We need to get out there and we need to vote in force. All right. So last thing I wanted to talk about real quick is Trump claims virus is receding one day after Dr. Burke's. It says after Burke's, but I'm a little more polite than that. One day after Dr. Burke says pandemic extraordinarily widespread. President Donald Trump continued to push a rosy outlook on the future of the coronavirus crisis on Monday, claiming the virus is receding just one day after a prominent task force doctor warned it's extraordinarily widespread as the U.S. enters a new phase of the pandemic. We're beginning to see evidence of significant progress, Trump said Monday in an evening press conference, even as coronavirus cases increase in roughly 15 states and deaths have increased in 35. The virus is receding. Anyway, his remarks focused on the states with declining positivity rates as opposed to the dozens of states the coronavirus task force is monitoring for future outbreaks. Okay. So Dr. Burke states that the virus is spreading not just in urban areas but also in rural areas, which is a sign of concern. Okay, all of the reputable medical information is stating that this coronavirus issue needs to get tamped down, and we need to get a handle on it, and we need to get things better in control as we head towards September. For some reason, they're putting September as a baseline. Fauci said that if we don't get this stuff under control by September, it may be a little bit out of control. Okay, that is me paraphrasing my opinion on what he stated. It's just me trying to recall what he stated. You could look it up. Excuse me. You should look it up. Everything that I'm talking about, look it up and read it. Okay, this is our news. This is what's happening in our country. So I'm at WIKWEK on Twitter. I obviously have the YouTube, and I have a website, indigenouspatriot.com. Thank you.